Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us. Here we have Menachem Silver and Avi Greenberg, two friendly faces that I'm sure many from the Scoop audience are familiar with seeing at different events throughout the city. And I thought it would be important for our city to become better acquainted with Shomrim. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about how Shomrim came to be formed here in Toronto and how you guys got involved. What was the birth of Shomrim?
Shomrim started just around Shavuos in 2021 when Toronto was seeing a rise in anti-Semitism, incidents where people on the street were being called all sorts of names, people's houses with mezuzahs were being targeted, and it was becoming that kind of thing where we needed another layer, a community layer of individuals that look out for the community, keep their eyes and ears open, and report what they see to law enforcement.
The two of you, do you have a background in safety that you decided we have already a foot in the door that maybe we can just bump up to the next level and make an organization out of this? And did you already have contacts in the police? What was I'm trying to understand the jump that went from like no Shimon to we have Shimon now.
No one really had a background in anything other than we were a bunch of concerned community members. I've been in the security world in the sense of I'm a locksmith when I have free time from Shomrim. That's my kind of idea of security, but completely different kind of security than what we're talking about on a day-to-day basis. It went from, experiencing these incidents across the city to seeing the rise and the need continue to grow. One thing led to a next, and we eventually formed it into an organization. Fast forward, we were slowly starting to make our way through the political spectrum, getting to know the local politicians, getting to know the local police divisions and whatnot, and eventually
Were you in touch with Shimon from other cities to kind of model yourself after them?
we got guidance from a bunch of them. And it's funny you say that because when I went to Rabbi Lowy to discuss Shomrim here in Toronto, he actually sent someone as a messenger to go get the lay of the land from other Shomrims across the tri-state area, just to understand, how they operate and when they operate under what, guidance, specifically when it comes to Shabbos and Yantiv.
Wow. So again, getting back to how you guys started your organization, it's really amazing to me because I see you guys at events, I see you guys at protests, I see you guys all over the place, and I would assume there's quite a bit of training and know-how that goes into the job. Crowd control, how to de-escalate situations, how to set up perimeters. So how did you figure all this out when you're kind of like learning on the job?
Yeah, so I mean, back to your earlier question, you asked about training experience. So I'll talk about myself personally. The UJA, before JSN existed, had tried to start a security and training group, and I was privileged to be part of the first group, actually in the entire Canada, that started this training program for community safety and not necessarily security, but it's positioned as community safety and protection. And so I've been training for over 8 years in specifically community specific training, whether it's schools, or having gone through personally advanced scenario training as well. And so it's not that we're learning on the job, we're actually able to now bring in a huge amount of expertise, not just myself per se, but having access to all the resources given that amount of years of training. We're actually very well equipped now. And we bring in a ton of training for our community members, for the members of Shomrim.
Tell me about the first couple jobs that you guys did and how it evolved into bigger jobs and what you guys are busy with today.
Off with just patrols in the very beginning when the fear was there out on the street. And eventually it turned into small time events, whether it was Achnasa Sefer Torahs or different types of galas. I remember one of the first bigger events that we did was there was a JCT gala, and the guests that they were bringing in was the former U.S. ambassador to Israel, and the former Israeli ambassador to the U.S., Nikki Haley and Danny Dunham. And the gala was scheduled for Sunday. Matzah Shabbos, I got a call from one of the organizers saying there's talks on social media, there's videos going around that the other side is planning on coming to protest. So right away, the panic was there, the fear was there. What do we do? How do we deal with it? Do we need to cancel the gala? I said, no, the gala should go on as planned. and let's start making calls and making sure that the event goes on the way it was planned to. So right away we started making phone calls. We got a group of volunteers together. I think we had about a dozen and a half volunteers that came out that night. Obviously put in phone calls to the police, let them know of what was going on. I mean, given the nature of the fact that they were former ambassadors, the different levels of law enforcement were notified, and together the event went off without a hitch. Yes, there were protesters that came and yelled all sorts of slurs that they always do, but within a matter of minutes, once we were able to get the venue to provide the police with a trespass order, they managed to get them off the property, and the event went on without a hitch. And from that, one thing led to a next.
I assume a lot of what you do is coordinating, right?
We do, and it's a lot
Right.
of what goes on a day-to-day basis behind the scenes and what the community sees us doing, whether it be information sharing or intel gathering or providing resources to the police from the community. It's something that specifically post October 7th, we've been instrumental with the police, specifically because they weren't intertwined with the Jewish community and with all the grassroots organizations that suddenly came to formation after October 7th. It was trying to navigate and manage who's responsible for what event, who's the organizer of the other, what intentions are, what plans are, so that police can plan accordingly and get the resources deployed based on what was going on.
Now you've established contacts and modes of communication between yourselves and pretty much every police station along Bathurst.
Basically, the police stations and districts that are responsible for the Jewish community in Toronto and in Thornhill. Toronto, that being 32 Division, 13 Division, and 53 Division. In Thornhill, that being 2 and 4 District. You know, it started with just information sharing, working together, them seeing us at events, and them understanding that we bring a lot of value to them in whether it's relaying information to our community or from our community to them, voicing concerns on behalf of the community and vice versa. And it's gotten to a point where we have those relationships and we're constantly building on those relationships because these relationships need the constant call it building on, but more importantly, there's always shifts within police departments, just like there is in the on the political spectrum.
You have to
Constantly
maintain new
maintain
ones.
them. Got to constantly, meet the new officers or the new bosses, etc. The work that we've been doing over the last 2 years, a lot of them have seen firsthand the value that we bring. I've been working diligently with the hate crimes, both in Toronto and in the York region, hate crimes and the intelligence on both in both police services, sharing information that comes our way or stuff that we see on social media that can be of concern. Certain known agitators in the community, we're constantly keeping our eyes on, and when we see something concerning, we let them know about.
And they also let us know as well, to be like really clear, as they've called us, they've pulled us over, they've sent us messages. And so really we do have really good relationships, and they let us know, like, hey, did you hear about this incident? I don't know if you guys are aware, something happened last night, any specific questions, anything that we should be aware of. And so they really communicate a lot with us because it helps them. The more we're out there, the easier their job is as well. So they really appreciate it.
Okay, so that's one thing I'm hearing is being a source of information and contact point in our community. It's great for our community and it's great for the police to do their jobs because having somebody inside, to feed off each other is vital. So that's one area of your important work. Tell me about some other areas of the stuff that you guys do.
So it can be anything from missing people that we would work hand in hand with police. Actually, just a couple weeks ago, we did some training with police on missing people and where we would bring value in scenarios like that, and how we would deploy and kind of work in tandem with them, whether it's in the community or even outside the Jewish community. In addition to that, whether it's proactive patrols, whether it's just being out on the street, being an extra set of eyes and ears in the community and in and around the community, especially in times like we're living today, puts people at ease. And it shows, I mean, at the end of the day, there's a need for it. Unfortunately, like everyone's been saying, there's no better person to look out for your own security than you yourself. If you're not doing your part in looking out for your own security, how can you rely on someone else to? So it starts with you taking an initiative to do something yourself. Because we are community members, we understand and know who and what are threats to the community, who are what are known agitators to our community. And it helps us know who to keep out or to keep our eyes on in specific settings like those, whether it be, known agitators or whether it be people dressing up to try and get into an event like that. It's something that, being in this space for almost 5 years now, you get a feel for who you should and shouldn't be associating with at events, and what people's intentions can be at events like these. Some people just merely want to come and observe, and some people want to come and cause a ruckus. So our objective then becomes kind of, we're on the inside, we're just keeping an eye on what goes on there.
I add one small point to that. At the end of the day, from a functional perspective, when people see Shomrim members at any event, they feel safer. It's knowing there's a Jewish person there. Sole purpose is to make sure Jewish people are safe. That already provides a huge safety and purpose, whereas other professionals wouldn't be able to cater to that, right? The police serves an amazing purpose, but doesn't necessarily make you purely psychologically safe, because it's not necessarily the Jewish member volunteer that's out there trying to protect you.
Very interesting. Again, it's that inside view that you can notice things that other people don't notice, and then you can liaison with the other teams of police and of security teams to be able to alert them to what's actually going on through your eyes, through your lens. So I understand you're doing a fundraiser now. Can you tell us a little bit about your budget and what exactly you need money for, so the community understands what it is they're really contributing to? Because you're all volunteers, right? But you need equipment, I assume, and cars. You tell me.
I remember someone once asked us when we were fundraising, he said, "How much do you guys need?" And our response was, "Well, it depends how safe you want to be." Right. And really, the answer is we're only able to do whatever we're able to do given the resources that we have access to. I mean, I'm sure everybody in Toronto at this point has seen the fleet. Avi did a fantastic job. We'd love to have presence 24/7 patrolling our streets. It costs money. Gas costs money. Maintenance in cars costs money. Walkie-talkies cost money. Uniforms, equipment, training, everything really costs money. And so we're fundraising because the more we're able to get, the more we're able to deliver on. And our numbers show where those funds are being attributed to, what they're being used for. But really, there's so much more that we're able to do.
Whether it's equipping our volunteers with technology that can advance the day-to-day operations, whether it's having body cams on all our volunteers so that when they're out at night or out at events, there's constant recordings, whether it's having cameras spread around the city in high vulnerable areas, specifically in the areas where, like all of us here have been seeing, where there's been an influx in home invasions and car thefts across the community. Having resources at our disposal that can then help law enforcement do their job could be having access to community that has access to real estate across the city, putting up cameras or camera trailers in and around the prominent Jewish community is something that on private property, the city or law enforcement can't do. But it's something us as an organization that represents the community, together with owners of these buildings, can do, and have a direct feed into the police so that when there are these scenarios happening, they can access that information. Just similarly to the way they have it set up in New York. Crown Heights, for example, Shomrim has cameras on street poles across the city. I'm on a national Shomrim WhatsApp group with all the different Shomrims across North America. And they got a call, one of the Shomrims got a call about a stolen car. Within 60 seconds of that call, they typed that license plate into their camera system, and it generated a picture of that car on the back of a tow truck being towed. So it went from it being reported as stolen to the Shomrim volunteers figuring out that it was impounded, because they have their community on lock, in the sense of they have eyes and ears everywhere in their community. Implementing technology like that can be huge, both for the community and for law enforcement.
Beautiful. Okay, you guys should have a lot of hatzlacha with this campaign. Hopefully, it'll bring you lots of new funds. You'll continue doing your great work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks for meeting with us.